Hey, are you getting stressed out with all the holidays coming up and everything? Well, I think it's helpful when we know what's going on in our brain when we get stressed, because obviously you want to watch that. And also with people who've just suffering from anxiety and depression, I have found that it is very helpful if they can know what's going on in their brain. So I want to say hi to everybody who's joining us today on this Facebook Live video. And I've got an assistant helping me since I can use my hands up here on the board. But hey, send me some love, send me some likes, and be prepared to make some comments. So the first thing I want to do is to talk about a representation of what goes on in our brain. You know that we have the right and the left sides of our brain. And our brain is very electrical, and it works by sending messages from side to side. So another way of showing that is, if this is our brain, we've got messages going this way, messages going that way. When our brain is working correctly, those messages come together, they connect smoothly, and our brain works like it should. The reason that they're able to do that is because of the chemicals in our brain that act like a conductor in this very electrical system. So I call those, the good guy chemicals are serotonin, dopamine, endorphins. You're probably familiar with that. And whenever these are going on in our brain, they act kind of like transmission fluid in the car. And so when you have a full tank, so to speak, everything goes well, and you would have a brain wave that looks like this. Those messages are coming together smoothly. However, we also have another chemical in our brain that you're also very familiar with, and that is adrenaline. Now, adrenaline, of course, is meant to save our lives. It gives us extra blood, extra oxygen to our limbs, to our lungs when we need it. And so long ago, when people were back in the caveman days, then there was extra adrenaline that would help them run after the woolly mammoth and take care of things and save their lives. Well, today, what happens, we don't run away from woolly mammoths so much, but whenever we have, I'm going to write some more words. Whenever we have negative emotions like anger, worry, frustration, we're feeling stressed. Whenever we experience any of those emotions, our brain pumps out adrenaline, because the adrenaline comes from the amygdala in our brain that helps us stay alive. And it just says there's something bad wrong and you need adrenaline, you need extra blood, you need extra oxygen. And so it curses out the extra adrenaline whenever we have these negative emotions. The result of that in our brain is that all of that extra adrenaline that we no longer use to raise up cars if we're needing to save somebody's life or run away from danger, it just goes into our brain and it begins to use up these good guy chemicals faster than our brain can replace them. Now, we are wired to handle a good amount of stress, and we can recover, and our brain will send out serotonin and dopamine and endorphins so that we feel peaceful and joy, that we're motivated, that we're happy. But when we have a lot, and this is our normal way of existing in the world, that we are stressed out, the extra adrenaline is going to be using up those chemicals in the brain. Then what that begins to do is we begin to have this medical condition that I came up with the name that's called gaposis. So we have gaps in this, what is normally a smooth transaction of signals from this side of the brain and signals from that side of the brain coming together smoothly. When the adrenaline is using up all of these chemicals, then all of a sudden the messages are still being sent out. So I always want to reassure people, you're not crazy, you're not stupid, although you may feel a little both sometimes. The messages are still going, but it's like they're going out into cyberspace. The message that says, here's a problem, and the message that says, here's the solution, they're no longer connecting. And for as much stress, as much anger, as much worry that you have, that keeps on going repetitively, that's going to make an impact on your brain. And as I like to tell people, again, using that transmission fluid analogy, hey, your car engine is going to work correctly when your tank is full. But when the tank starts dropping, your engine's going to start missing. It's not going to work smoothly like it was designed to work. That's how our brain is. So the more you get depressed, the more you are stressed, the more adrenaline is going to pump out trying to save your life, but it will cause problems in your brain. So important thing for you to remember is that you want to change these negative emotions that you are feeling. That's why, to change it to positive, that's why it's so important to surround yourself with positive thoughts and to think of gratitude, that kind of thing, because you want those chemicals to fill back in again. Without medication if possible, although if you need it, that's another option to talk about another day. But you want to fill in the gaps and change your thoughts to one of happiness and peacefulness and contentment, so that your brain says, oh, cool, I'm fine, you're fine, we don't need to do anything. All right, so I hope you can keep this little funky drawing in mind as you're going through the holidays, and that you stop from being stressed out, that truly, hey, you know, I wrote this book called Yes, I Said No. You want to say yes to more serotonin and dopamine and endorphins, and no to the excess adrenaline. So if this has been helpful for you today, I encourage you to share it with others, and I would love to hear any feedback that you have. Talk to you next time. This is Barbara with Words on Wednesday.